And I find that the main reason now that I have left to be in support of the motion is that I am so tired of talking about woke culture. That's why it's gone too far. There's going to be companies that are making products that don't care if you're woke or not. Yeah. Advertisers that are not interested in the stuff. And I actually said this on Twitter today. I think the future isn't woke or anti-woke. The future is post-woke. About 15 months ago, my wife got pregnant. Not me, because we're old school.
Konstantin Kisin is a prominent comedian, commentator, and outspoken critic of modern-day woke culture. He has gained attention for his fearless opposition to the rise of identity politics and the erosion of free speech, believing that wokeness has deeply harmed society.
Because it means I don't have to reiterate the point that no, free speech is not some right-wing reframing of whatever. It's the foundation of Western civilization. Upon this civilization is built, and the Enlightenment values that led to it.
Kisin is a powerful voice in the fight against what he perceives as the excesses of woke culture. He argues that it has gone far beyond its intended goals, and now undermines the values of individual agency, personal responsibility, and free expression.
I don't have to make the point that has been made by far better people in the past, that the only way to deal with the problem of racism is to treat people on the content of their character and nothing else. And the fact that woke culture seeks to overturn that is a new form of racism that we must all oppose.
For Kisin, wokeness is not about progress or equality. Instead, it is a form of brainwashing that encourages young people to view themselves as victims rather than individuals with the power to create change through their actions and work.
Also, I will not use this opportunity to say I told you so, as someone who spent the last 5 years warning people in the West that if we continue to erode our culture, if we continue to undermine our confidence in Western values, that our enemies like Vladimir Putin will seek to capitalize on it.
One of Kisin's central criticisms of woke culture is its focus on victimhood. According to him, it encourages young people to see themselves not as capable individuals, but as powerless victims. This shift, he argues, is dangerous because it teaches that the key to improving the world is not to work, create, or build, but to complain, protest, and blame others.
Now, I want to talk to those of you who are woke and who are open to rational argument. A small minority, I accept. Because one of the tenets of wokeness is, of course, that your feelings matter more than the truth. But I believe in you. I believe there are those of you here who are woke, who are open to rational argument, so let me make one.
At the heart of Kisin's critique is the defense of free speech. He makes the argument that free speech is the foundation of Western civilization. The ability to exchange ideas, even those that are controversial or unpopular, is crucial for societal progress. However, he believes that woke culture has threatened this essential right, especially when people who challenge the prevailing narratives are silenced or labeled as ignorant, racist, or dangerous.
But I find this ultra-woke mentality so illiberal that it borders on the very fascism they profess to hate most. So to see you go into the lion's den a bit with all these woke students, and actually what I thought was impressive about it, Konstantin, was the way you didn't demonize them. And maybe that is the way to progress and get this woke nonsense.
Another issue Kisin highlights is the rise of groupthink within woke culture. He points to the way certain political ideologies, particularly on the left, encourage conformity. People are expected to toe the party line, and any deviation from the accepted beliefs is met with harsh criticism or outright hostility.
I think so, and like you, I identify as politically non-binary, Piers. And so that's the angle I was approaching from. And look, the fact is, both you and I know that when we were 18, 20, we were idiots as well, and we were very cocky and sure of ourselves, and we thought we knew the answers to everything.
What we didn't have was the internet to brainwash us.
Kisin also criticizes the illusion of progress that often accompanies woke culture. He argues that while it purports to promote equality and justice, it usually leads to divisiveness and a return to segregation. For example, he sees initiatives like affirmative action as forms of reverse discrimination rather than tools for true equality.
Wokeness is an ideology, and there's some very strong concepts behind it. But that all aside, I mean, I found that I had a very interesting encounter, because you once have seen this, but we had to wait quite a long time before the debate started. And I actually was talking to one of the students in the bar, and she couldn't believe that I even thought the woke people existed. Like, to her, this was unicorns.
Kisin's critique of woke culture extends beyond social justice issues to encompass its treatment of global problems like climate change. He believes that the hysteria surrounding climate change has been co-opted by woke culture to push an agenda of fear and control. While he acknowledges that climate change is a real issue, he argues that the constant drumbeat of apocalyptic predictions and guilt-tripping tactics has only served to stoke panic rather than inspire practical solutions.
What I've come to now, and maybe it's being a father of a young child now as well, I'm starting to see that, these are kids, and we have a responsibility to persuade them, to convince them with rational argument. And look, when you're speaking to bright people like the ones at Oxford, you've got a chance.
One of Kisin's main criticisms of climate change activism is the hypocrisy he sees in the movement. He points out that many of the most vocal proponents of environmentalism live privileged lives, enjoying the benefits of the very systems they condemn. He argues that these activists, often from wealthy backgrounds, need help understanding the realities faced by people in developing countries, who are more concerned with immediate survival than with long-term environmental issues.
I mean, one of the worst aspects of wokery is the way that people now feel too afraid to express opinions. And it's becoming a real thing where people, I had Dame Joan Collins on here, didn't want to say what she thought a woman was. And she's one of my favourite people in the world, Joan, and obviously knows what she believes a woman is, but didn't want to raise her head over a parapet just to be shot down.
Kisin also sees a dangerous sense of entitlement in the younger generations, particularly in their approach to social and political issues. In his view, woke culture encourages young people to demand that the world be reshaped to fit their ideals without recognizing that change requires effort, hard work, and sacrifice. Kisin is keenly aware of the role that the media and technology play in promoting woke culture. He argues that social media platforms, in particular, have become echo chambers that amplify extreme voices while silencing dissent. The anonymity afforded by these platforms encourages a toxic environment of online bullying and cancel culture, where individuals are targeted for expressing views that challenge the mainstream narrative.
There's this mob mentality. If you don't agree with me, you must be cancelled immediately, shamed, vilified, J.K. Rowling, whoever it may be. How have we got to this place? What's fueling it? How do we deal with it?
Well, first of all, I know that you're shocked by it, and I think a lot of people in the West are shocked, but actually, as someone who grew up in the Soviet Union, this is very familiar.
Kisin's critique of woke culture is not limited to the West. He points out that while Western countries are consumed by debates over identity politics and climate change, much of the world faces more pressing issues, such as poverty, corruption, and political instability. He argues that the focus on cultural issues in the West is a form of privilege, as people in poorer nations are too concerned with survival to engage in the kind of ideological battles that dominate Western discourse.
And the power actually manifests itself from the mob going to corporate world and demanding that they fire people and get rid of people who don't agree with their view.
Exactly. And I think a lot of people, particularly, and this isn't an attack, but if you don't have a lot of meaning in your own life, this is a way to get some meaning, because you tap this thing on your phone or on your keyboard and suddenly a famous person's getting cancelled.
Right.
I think that's a big part of it.
Despite his strong criticism of woke culture, Kisin remains hopeful that rational debate can lead to positive change. He believes that if more people were willing to engage in open, honest discussions about the issues facing society, it would be possible to find effective and fair solutions. At the heart of Kisin's philosophy is the belief that the key to improving the world is not through protest, complaining, or demanding that others change, but through work, creation, and innovation. He argues that real progress comes when individuals take ownership of their lives, work to improve their circumstances, and contribute to society in meaningful ways.
I think the solution here is to be reasonable, to talk to people, to try and persuade them, while also, of course, we got to stand up and not allow these cancellations to happen. And that means that, you know, TV producers and big corporations, they have to step up as well.
I mean, I was forced out of my last job for disbelieving Meghan Markle, which seems preposterous.
Kisin concludes his argument by calling for a rejection of the tyranny of wokeness. He urges individuals, especially young people, to resist the pressure to conform to the increasingly restrictive ideologies of the woke left. Instead, he advocates for a return to the values that have made Western civilization strong: free speech, personal responsibility, and the belief that individuals have the power to shape their futures. Konstantin Kisin's critique of woke culture is rooted in a belief that society must return to its foundational values of free speech, individual responsibility, and constructive action. He warns against the dangers of victimhood and entitlement. He calls for a rejection of divisive identity politics in favor of a culture that values hard work, personal growth, and intellectual debate. Kisin's message is clear: wokeness has gone too far, and it is time to rebuild a society that encourages progress through action, not through complaints and protests. So what do you think about his stance? Do you agree with him? Let us know in the comments, and remember to leave a like and subscribe to our channel. If you found this content valuable, see you in the next video.